Welcome on into another episode of the Crypto Doe Show. You know, we're working while working. So anyway, we I'm gonna talk about a market update real quick. You know, I gotta get on here daily. How you guys feeling today, ladies and gentlemen? How you feeling? Some people, life is hard. Life is you never know what it may toss at you every single day. But I'm here to tell you to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep breathing, keep living, keep going. So let's get into the talk today. So we're talking about crypto. Last time I checked, Bitcoin was at 111,000. Now we're currently at 110 and some change. And to me, it's doing an excellent job. I thought it was going to go down some more, but obviously it did not. It did not go down further, which is a good thing. I'm expecting Bitcoin to bounce from here. And I think it's very good for the market. Now, I'm gonna give you guys a couple of seconds to get in here. I want to talk about a purchase that I made the other day. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds to get in here. I want to talk about a purchase that I made the other day. Okay, so let's get into it. Bitcoin currently 110,000 and some change, right? Ethereum, last time I checked, was at 3,900, right? That's just the last time I checked. I think we have about a week left until the end of the month, which then I will be expecting a rate cut. Let me repeat. At the end of the month, I will be expecting a rate cut, which to me, it doesn't mean that as soon as the rate cut happens, the market is going to boom. Sometimes it takes times to process and digest, right? With anything on the internet, that's what I've noticed. What you post today, people may not see until tomorrow, or the next day, a couple of days after. Generally, it takes 3 days to digest, right? Sometimes I've been noticing when we have some form of rate cuts, sometimes the market actually tanks. But right after that, so we got to play it by ear. Right after that, guess what's going to happen? We have something called the November 1st, the tariff discussion. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that Trump is going to digress and he's going to do his taco thing and say, you know what, well, we're going to extend it until this, or we have came to an agreement. And it's either going to be an extension or we have came to some form of agreement. That's going to be super bullish for the market. Or what if it's a chance that he can't say, well, you know what? We are tariff are imposed on China. Now, if that's the case, if tariff are imposed on China, then the market to me is going to come crashing. But the way I see it is, I think the market already priced these things in. And the reason why is the other day when China made an announcement saying that, you know, they stand firm on their action, right? The market didn't do anything. Let me repeat, the market did not do anything, right? Thanks for subbing and subscribing. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for the sub. Thanks for the subscription. Thanks for the like. Thanks for the like. I appreciate it. I'm Crypto Doe once again, here to share everything I know with you guys, so together I can go further. So together we can go further than Wells Fargo. That's the point of this. This is an educational platform where we talk about crypto, we talk about stocks, basically money getting. But it's the niche is crypto. We're focused on crypto because I believe it is, yes, it's high risk, high rewards, high volatility, but to me it's the most rewarding, especially for the times that we are in now. I believe that we have probably less than a 5-year window to take advantage of these opportunities. Let me repeat. I believe that we have less than a 5-year window to take advantage of these opportunities. So it's actually, it would be in your best interest. I'm not saying to invest in crypto, but to invest in the knowledge of what crypto is, what stablecoins are, what cryptocurrencies are, what stablecoins are, the government legislation is actually doing about these things, how the world will adapt to crypto and cryptography, what makes it secure, the different protocols, privacy, quantum resistance technologies, borderless payments, DeFi, which to me the world would be filled with decentralization. Notice the other day, right? If you guys remember what happened with AWS, right? Coinbase was affected. The things that I used to create and craft, Canvas was affected. A lot of websites do not work without AWS clouds. Amazon, right? Clouds. So if you was to hack Amazon, or I don't really think it was a hack. They say that most of the work is contracted overseas. So I did my research on it, and I noticed that the Indians, since most of the work is overseas and they was on their holiday, right? It's like Christmas. Everyone takes off, and they take off for a couple of days. So their remittance program, to me, it wasn't being governed or watched. Let me repeat. Their remittance program wasn't being governed or watched. So therefore, some form of penetration happened or governance issues happened. And therefore, mostly companies that use AWS, which is a lot of companies, right? We're talking from a technological perspective. There's a lot of different variation of companies that use AWS that you wouldn't even know of. If you're on the internet, most of these use AWS. Now, AWS is centralized. Let me repeat. AWS and their servers are centralized, which means that if something goes wrong with the center or the centralized aspect of it, which is the AWS clouds and or servers, then it's going to affect everything that's attached to it, especially whatever is using the processing data in that region. Therefore, this is why decentralization is so important, because decentralization takes the risk out of someone attacking, or it could be a foul play or lack of redundancy protocol set up, right? Where centralization, you can't, you got to attack each one of those things independently, which means it's going to take 10 times more effort. Therefore, if something goes down, 80% of the internet won't be down. You get it? I try to explain that without sounding too technical, right? For most folks, because they don't understand that. Your phone, you scrolling these websites, the confirmation button when it's time to purchase, the data that you use, all are in a cloud. So crypto has made, you have different crypto projects like Edge and Definity and DeFi projects, right? That actually created solutions for that, and they made a decentralized cloud computing architecture. So that goes to show why I'm talking about that is because it also affected the crypto market, because Coinbase uses obviously AWS. So if if some decentralized platforms will use AWS, a centralized platform, I think they may want to stick to remaining decentralized or getting some type of decentralized cloud computing like Edge, right? I'm not advocating for just Edge. I'm sure it's going to be other emerging technologies that does decentralized cloud computing, because everything is in the clouds. Easier to save, easier to store, easier to extract. You can access it anywhere in the world. These are the things that allows us to actually have something called a phone. Because without these, the behind the scene work, these phones won't work. The internet will not work. Right? It would be no connectivity. It will be no connectivity. So, with that being said, that's why I tell people study crypto. Because crypto and cryptography is actually making a lot of solutions based on the day-to-day problems that we have. And let the best win. And let the best win. So, that was about AWS, right? And the importance of actually investing into some solutions. If you don't have the money to invest, you have the time to learn. Because education equals money, right? And applied education prints a lot of money. So think about it like that. Think about it like that. So like I say, Bitcoin, it needs to be above about 112, 113. It wicked up there to actually be considered on a bullish thing. But the way I see it is, Bitcoin can go to 130,000. We can still have a couple of days to the end of October, and Bitcoin can be back to normal. All we need is one announcement. Let me repeat. All we truly need is one announcement. If we're being technical, you know. So Ethereum, people are calling for the altcoin season to be over. When they did that liquidation last time, right, which was on October 10th, history was made. $19 billion was liquidated. Most of the retail investors are out the market. And remember, right, because a lot of people with their leverage account, some people committed suicide. Please do not invest more than you can lose. Let me repeat. Please do not invest in more than you could lose. Let me repeat again. Do not invest in more than you can lose, right? Especially with some cryptos. Now, Bitcoin is something more stable. Okay, I consider that to be a savings account. Yes, it's going to be volatile. Yes, it's going to go up. Yes, it's going to go down. But Bitcoin doesn't go down as much as these altcoins. But anyway, some people took their lives over this. And I'm here to tell you guys, ladies and gentlemen, it's not that serious. Some people lost fortunes. Some people lost millions of dollars. Some people had stop losses that the computer did not even recognize. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point of these automated systems? Even automation has to be checked upon. Even automation has to be manually checked. I repeat, even automation has to be manually. So if I do leverage, I'm only doing the max 3x leverage. You know? Only doing the max 3x leverage. Because if your stop loss doesn't get recognized or something happen like what happened on Binance and everything else, it wipe people accounts out. So most of the retail investors, they're done with crypto. Let me repeat. Most of the retail investors, which is basically you and I, because if you got it, I think you have to have over $20 million to be considered some form of a high class investor. I don't have $20 million yet. Let me repeat, yet, but it's coming. But majority of the people, they spent all their money. Then you have the government shutdown. That's another thing that could be bullish if the government opens back up before, within a month. Within a month, it could be a November announcement where the government opens back up. So that's going to be bullish for the space, which I don't understand why two parties control what's going on they can't decide on this and can't decide on that. So it's like, but don't our tax dollars pay for these things? So why can't y'all decide? Because it's based on where the money is flowing and where the money is going, which means they don't have you and I best interest. So the only person that's going to have your best interest is you. You cannot rely on the government to have your best interest. The only person that's going to have your best interest is you. You must take full responsibility for everything that you're doing in life and for everything that you're going through and for you capitalizing upon the world. It's on you. All right? It's on you. On that note, just wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you guys on the crypto market and what I see and what I project. Right? Remember, I do not give financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. At the end of the day, we're just talking about these things. This is an educational platform as well, right? Just giving you insight on what's to come. On that note, put on your seatbelt. This is Crypto Doe once again. It is damn near time to take off. In 5, 4, 3, 2.